different kind of nature because we changed the quarters that we're looking at. When we start with the second gate and the first gate, the second gate and the first gate being Sphinx gates, they are the beginnings of quarters. And the second gate is the beginning of the quarter of civilization. And the first gate is the beginning of the quarter of mutation. And civilization basically embodies the form principle. If you look from the second gate all the way around to the seventh gate, along the bottom of the wheel, what you will see is that all 11 gates of the throat center are there. And everything about the quarter of civilization is about bringing things into form. When you go to its polarity, when you go to the other side, when you go to the quarter of mutation, what is so interesting about the quarter of mutation is that the quarter of mutation is what prepares us for, well, our own terminality. Let's put it that way. In other words, once there's a story of the wheel and its quarters, and in the first quarter, you incarnate. You come in as mind. And the moment you come in, you have to go through the quarter of civilization. That is, you have to enter into the form principle, and build the form. And once you've done that, then you enter into the quarter of duality. You find somebody, you make love, you have children. You fulfill your genetic imperative. You get to the quarter of mutation and you say, well, and now? And then they tell you it comes to an end and you'll start again next time. So let's look at C, the 2 and the 1. When you're dealing with the 2 and the 1, obviously you are dealing with the archetype of what is yin and what is yang in the wheel. You have the 6 yin lines, you have the 6 yang lines. It's a perfect mirror. When you're looking at let's start with the second gate.
So everything about the first gate is individual in its nature.
It is so complex and so mystical, the second gate. It is, in that sense, the gate of the driver. And when you talk about the Sphinx being a cross of direction, in fact, it's the second gate only that brings the direction. And when you look at the rest of the Sphinx gates, well, they bring variations on that direction. But it is the second gate that is the driver. It is the second gate that is, in essence, the gate that is most closely connected to the purpose of the magnetic monopole. That is, aside from holding us together in the illusion of our separateness, these are vessel themes, but it moves us along our specific geometry. These are Sphinx themes. So the second gate is a driver in life. It is moving you in a specific direction. And that specific direction is yin in its nature. And that's very important to see. Not only is it yin in its nature, but it is a quality of identity. In other words, identity is differentiated by direction. We all have a unique trajectory and geometry in space. It's one of the deepest teachings of the second gate. When you look out the eyes of the second gate, what you see is the world of form. This is what you see. And you see the world of form, and you see all of its possible directions. One of my favorite writers, Jorge Luis Borges, wrote this wonderful story called The Garden of the Forking Paths. And in that you see this myriad possibilities of any given moment, these zillions and zillions of hypothetical directions. And it's one of the things to see so deeply about what you look at when you look out through those second eyes is that you see all of these directions. You see all of these movements. You know, on the other side you have the yang first hexagram, the creative. And the creative is very different. And you can really see that if you look at the Sphinx gates that point to the throat, the 7, the 1, the 13. They represent variations on the direction of the 2. You know, the logical direction is out of the seventh gate. It's like driving in a car, and the 2 is the driver. It really is. It's the one that is driving. But the 7 and the 1 and the 13, they think they're driving. And the 1 says, the 7 says, hey, we're going forward, look. And the 13 says, no, actually. 13's looking back and saying, all I know is where we came from. We came from there. The 7 is looking out the front window, and the 13's looking out the rear view mirror, and the first gate is staring at its navel. I'm right here, it says. And they're all variations of the same direction. All variations of the same direction. So when you get to the first gate at the other end, the first gate is a roll gate. And it is the role of an individual to try to make themselves seen. Hello, I'm here. Really is. It is a deep creative impulse to express direction existentially. Express the direction in the now. When you look out through the eyes of the 1, what you see is both how extraordinary it is when there are those that can truly express themselves, and how terrible it is that most people can't. It is about the potential to be able to express one's direction. I mean, the 1-8, this channel, when you see this channel in the design of mammals, it is the alpha channel. This is the unique capacity, to display direction. The 1-2, because it is the archetype of the yin and the yang, that it represents something very, very basic for us to understand, that there is truly only one primary direction. Only one. That through form, ultimately, we get to express uniqueness. That's what the 2-1 is about. And it's what the 2-1 can see. It's what it can see. It can see the capacity for expression in form. It can also see the resistance to unique expression in form. Nothing more frustrating than being a 1 and having no outlet to the throat. Nothing more frustrating. So here is the central yin-yang theme, and it comes back to the very basis of design. And it's my joke because it's the way I see. I mean, I have a 2-1 personality nodes, and I see the potential of uniqueness in any of you through your form. But that's what I'm here to see. Other people look at you and think you're useless, you see. I look at you and see, look at all that potential in your form. You can be unique. Isn't that wonderful? And of course, what you get to see is that people are not unique. You look out at those eyes and you see that forms are not unique. Human beings trying to look like each other. What is fashion, after all, but cloning, I mean, it's just, anyway.